Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Black Widow issue number 3. Now there's a whole bunch I want to get into this, so let's just get into who made it first, real quick. Writers Jen and Sylvia Soska. The artist is Flaviano. Color artist Veronica Gandini. And VC's Joe Caramagna on letters. Cover art Clayton Crane. All right, so geez, Black Widow gets into with Madame Mask, and it's a much quicker battle than I thought it was going to be. She takes her out. She takes her out all right with a fishing pole. Don't even try and question it. Just let it go, man. It was freaking awesome. You got to see it. So she decides to put on her costume. Granted, her thighs are a little thicker, but whoever had a problem with that? Anyway, she decides to go to this party where this no play, it's in here somewhere. It's the NRP thing is going on. Non-restrictive play, I think it's called. She's trying to shut this website down. And all these villains are there. And Taskmaster is like the bouncer. And he keeps showing up. Fortunately, Tiger comes along. And finally, she's able to get Taskmaster off his game. It's funny that Taskmaster refers to himself as Tasky, when he doesn't think anybody's listening. I was listening. So she gets another save at one point. Not going to tell you who she gets the save away from, but the person who saves her is actually Sabretooth. I loved this. Why? Last time we saw Sabretooth, for the most part, the finale of the Weapon X comic book, which was an on and off comic book, but in the end was just one of the greatest comic books ever. My opinion, whatever. It ended with Sabretooth going back to becoming an absolute savage. Well, in this, he was not a savage. He was very classy. He wasn't Victor Creed, man in a big white tux and, surrounded by two babes. No. He was just Sabretooth, but he didn't let things bother him. When people called him an animal or a savage, he ignored it. He just smiled. He embraced it. And he acknowledged himself as being one of the good guys. Read the comic book for more on it. It's a really, really solid scene. He kind of sacrifices himself, but not really. You know what I'm saying? Not the way you'd typically think of. But yeah, it was a really excellent moment. And just like from my heart, I have to thank the Soska twins for just doing that. I don't care if this stays canon. I don't care if somebody else comes along. It's like, no. Tom Brevoort said that we've got to make him a crazy animal again so he can fight Wolverine, who's back, and rah. And there are stupid ideas in the world. I'm not going to sit here and say it's the dumbest idea in the world, but I do consider it one of the stupid ideas. If so many people were loving that version of Sabretooth, why do you revert him back over here just because the status quo has to reboot with a fresh start? There are bad ideas in the world. I'm just saying. And I'm glad that the Soskas, maybe it's just because they didn't know and nobody stopped them. Maybe it's because they did know and they didn't care. They simply like this version better. I'm with them. All right? Just done. This was an awesome comic book. And honestly, even if that scene, that whole thing wasn't in there with Sabretooth, I'd have still said this was an awesome comic book. It's just that step above, because they at least recognize the kind of Sabretooth that the majority of us are interested in. Yeah, Sabretooth is cute when he's a villain and he's getting beaten up by every single hero out there. But when he's a hero, he at least has that opportunity to show himself off to be, something more than just some guy who's getting punked around because, well, we can't have him scratch people's faces. Remember when he fought Spider-Man and he scratched his own face? Anyway, guys, that was before they even knew they were going to give him a healing factor. All right, guys, this was a really solid comic book. I definitely loved this. Also, it looks like we're going to get a Scarface treatment for Natalia at the very end of this. Read the comic book to understand what I mean by that. Also, watch the movie Scarface because, Tony Montoya's brother. I'm gonna bounce now. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.